What's going on, everybody? It is your boy Chris, man. I am here at the Work Hard, Play Harder podcast. It is Friday, July 25th, 2025. My name is Chris Drummond. I am a freelance sports reporter based out of Minnesota and proprietor of this podcast, Work Hard, Play Harder, where I bring individuals on to talk about their why and get to know them outside of their occupation. I got a special guest that's coming on with me today. She is a social justice reporter for the Des Moines Register. Her name is F.Amanda Tugade. I hope I said that right. And she is somebody who's been in journalism for multiple years doing different positions. So we're going to talk to her about her why of getting into journalism and also ask her some get to know you questions. So Amanda, welcome to the Work Hard, Play
Of
Harder
course. Thank you so
podcast.
much for having me. I appreciate it.
No, no doubt, no doubt. I want to get into the first question, and the first question is the same as it always is with every guest I have on here, and that is, what is your why? Why do you do what you do? Did you have any role models? Any inspirations, maybe growing up? But ultimately, what led you into a career of journalism?
Oh, such a good question. I mean, it's something that I've been honestly thinking about much more, especially as my birthday comes up next month. Um, I'll
Mm,
start off with this. Part of the reason why I do what I do really leans heavily like on my family and my growing up. My
mm,
mom was 33 when she came to the US with me in 1995. My dad came from the
okay,
Philippines first, and so we followed along after. A lot of my family had also come from the Philippines and settled here, mostly in the Chicago area. And so, yeah, just growing up in a generational household for part of my life, and then just having immigrant experiences in there, figure, sometimes not always feeling like I had a voice, um, you know, feeling like I didn't fit in, looking the way that I do. All of
right,
those things really like
right,
sort of folded into that. Um, but what really struck me for journalism was I grew up watching TV a lot. That was how I f- figured out how to try to fit in. And part of that was
right.
MTV. And I really wanted to be an MTV VJ. I wanted to be on TRL. I wanted to host the next like music video. And that was
Hmm.
really sort of part of my start in thinking about journalism. Um, I
Sure.
also like growing up, watching the news was like a big thing, like in my family, watching the evening news, watching the morning news. Um, I feel like I
Absolutely.
was, as a kid, I was able to like bargain my like bedtime by the 10 o'clock news. So I could at least stretch it to 10:30, and
Hmm.
potentially even the way later news that went up to 11. So that was how I
Wow.
negotiated that. But yeah, I
Okay.
mean, so much of my personal life folds into why I do what I do, and so a lot of it really leans on helping people find their voice, helping people connect the dots, uh, helping people figure out what's going on, and yeah.
Absolutely. No, that's a great why. I love starting off my podcast with that question because it's an important question. It's a powerful question. But everybody's why is
Mhm.
different. Everybody's story is that have how they've gotten into this industry is just as special as the stories that we go get. So your story is no less special than anyone else's. And man, it's hard sometimes because we're not ones that talk about ourselves a
Yeah,
lot, right? We go get the stories, we go talk to the sources, we write the stories so we can be an advocate for the people, pillars in our community, because that's what we love to do. We love to story tell, and not just story tell, but tell stories that's impactful, meaningful, and that haven't been told.
absolutely.
Um, we love that, but we also have a story
Mhm.
ourselves. And that's why I love having this platform and talking to different people in media because they learn about different jobs, they learn about different people, and they get to network. Sometimes people, based upon my podcast, have reached out. Others have reached out to the same people that I have talked to and ask different questions. And that's what we're supposed to do. So I love
Absolutely.
that.
I mean, there's such a need for community in journalism for sure. So our jobs can be
No
so
question.
isolating sometimes. Actually, a lot of
Mhm.
times, when you're fighting off that deadline, and you're just here alone, like trying to write, trying to do your thing, like when you're going out there reporting, you don't really usually have a whole team behind you. It's really just you and whatever you give back. And so, yeah, it can be difficult to find people who kind of understand that flow of the work, but
Right.
also just people who understand, like, you're spending sometimes a lot of time just by yourself trying to like crunch numbers, trying to write,
Mhm.
trying to be creative, and it can be really isolating.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. You went to the University
Hmm.
of Illinois, if I'm not mistaken, in Champaign. I'm very familiar with the state of Illinois since I was born there, born in Chicago, Illinois.
Hmm.
Talk to me about going to the University of Illinois, and were there any other schools that you were considering going to?
Yeah. Well, I I wasn't really sure if I was going to major in journalism. My
Mhm.
that senior year of high school, where I was trying to figure out what I was going to be doing. I had really, I had really like was yeah, I really wasn't sure. It was in my family, when I first told them I wanted to become a journalist, it was a really huge
Right.
discussion for us. It was around
Okay.
that 2008 period. Obviously the economy wasn't doing great, um, and I remembered
Right.
like hearing so many like news stories about how print was dying, things like that, and
Right.
but I remember also that time being so pivotal, with Obama. I was in AP US history at that time, and all of the things that we were learning at that time were really leaning on newspapers and the flow of journalism, and how journalism became,
Sure.
so pivotal and so important, to telling the truth and to really reporting on what's going
Right.
on. Um, and
Absolutely.
so, at that time, I was so excited about journalism. I thought writing was something that, uh, came naturally to me. I think I was kind of a shy kid too. So that for me was like an outlet. And so, yeah, I remembered, uh, trying to tell my parents that I wanted to be a journalist, and they were like, "What? What is that?" Um, and at the same time, though, I had also thought about becoming a teacher. I had many, many good, especially English teachers who really like encouraged me to write. They encouraged me to read more books, just different types of books. Um, and I always found like their classes to feel so fulfilling for me. And so when I was trying to figure out like how I was going to go to college or what I was going to study, yeah, when I was applying, I kind of, just some schools I applied for education, some schools I applied for journalism. And my parents had wanted me to go to the University of Illinois, but I didn't
Okay.
tell them that I applied for the journalism school. They had thought that I was applying, under education. And so
Right.
I
Right.
remember, and also at the same time, I was actually up for a teaching scholarship. And so yeah,
Oh,
and so there were a lot of
okay.
these things that were kind of happening. They were kind of like falling, they were just falling into weird places, and it was really like a choice that I had to make. But when I got to U of I got accepted into the journalism program. And, fast forward there, I made the decision to forego my teaching scholarship and actually pursue journalism. Um, I've always like joked that that was really like the first adult decision I've ever made. But it truly is, and it was, and it's
Mhm.
still a very conscious choice that I make today, even working in the
Sure.
industry. But yeah, I mean, that was really like the first time that I think for myself, I kind of like just told myself like, why not you? You know, I grew up
Absolutely.
not really seeing many people who looked like me. Like even with like among my teachers, like even my favorite teachers, most of them are white. So it's very rare for
Right.
me to find myself, you know, in a classroom, to find myself in the work that I do. And so, you know, I think at some point when I was 18, I had like a huge like FU attitude, and I was just like, why not? Why not me? Why not try? Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. No, I feel that. I like that. I do like the attitude because we do a lot of stories, and especially with me in my genre of sports, being out here in
Yeah.
Minnesota. Um, being out here in Minnesota, you go to the state meets, the section championships. You're covering sports. You don't see a lot of people look like
Right.
myself. You just don't. And you don't see a lot of women.
Hmm.
Period. Whether it's minority or
Right.
white. You don't see women at all, and we should have more women involved in journalism spaces, in sports, in all genres. We should have more women involved, but we definitely should have more
Mhm.
minorities involved. And it's a little. I wouldn't say it's like nervous for me, but it's a little bit telling when you walk into a press conference room and you don't see a lot of
Sure.
ethnicity around. You just see the
You
same
know, the thing
faces,
is, like,
and you
when
kind of
you see one
go ahead.
other, like, person of color and it's just you two, you, like, lock eyes, you know? Like, you kind
You
of give
do, you
yourselves,
do.
like, it's almost like it's an unspoken, like, it's an unspoken, like, feeling, you know? It's just like it's an unspoken
Hmm.
acknowledgement that you guys are kind of like, you're here and you see each other. And in some ways, like, even those looks, like, give me, like, brief comfort, you know? Yeah.
Sure, absolutely. It's that nonverbal
Mm-hmm.
communication. 'Cause when I look at them, like, oh man, like, oh, and then you all of a sudden just start talking and
Right.
vibing, right in that room.
Exactly.
But you definitely want to see more of
Sure.
us, of minorities in the room, covering all different kind of sports. I mean, I've covered sports from rodeos to fishing, to professional women's
Yeah.
hockey, and I love covering every sport. I do. Now I don't know much about fishing and rodeo. Don't get me
Right.
wrong, but I don't mind. But I don't mind covering it. But you just don't see a lot of faces like ours, and I wish there was
Right.
some more faces. I think if we talk about it more, maybe it can enlighten more people to give more of a more ethnicity people with a
Absolutely.
chance because they're just as talented as any other
Absolutely.
race
And
for
I
sure.
think like,
Uh,
you know, something that I wanted to like touch on real quick was like, you know,
sure,
even as I went through like journalism school, like having made that decision to pursue journalism, in a family where I didn't have any like role models really, you know, in that sense. Um, I felt
sure,
like so alone, you know, like going through journalism school. I felt so much of like my peers had classes in high school, were real, you know, had came from high schools that had like real like newspapers and things like that. Like I felt like they were people
sure,
who already knew what kind of reporter they wanted to be or where they wanted to go. And I was, for a
absolutely,
long time, like in school, especially, I was just going off like vibes. You know, I was going off like a gut feeling of like, I think this is what I have to do. Like, this feels right for me.
right.
But it took me a long time to, uh, like, figure out like what kind of writer I am. And I think
Hmm.
in some ways, like that journey is like helpful. Like you talked about, like, you know, how, you know, you don't know anything about rodeos and you'll cover it. I think like that kind of
Right.
like that curiosity of just being like, I don't know anything about this, but I'm just going to give it a go and I'm going to figure it out. Like,
Yep.
I think
Yep.
that part of it, like that part of discovering myself and trying to be comfortable with being uncomfortable, like has helped me like so much, like in my career and also just like as a person. But like you know, as a reporter, like you do get sent on like these assignments that oftentimes you don't really have time to prepare for, and you're really just going through
Right,
in your head and being part of that experience, like being observant and like being with the people and being present. And so I think like those were the things that kind of came from not knowing what I was doing and just being in
right.
the moment and just like actually being there. So
I love that. I live my
yeah,
life
no,
like that,
same.
Amanda. And that
It bites
be
you
be
sometimes, but
comfortable.
it works sometimes too.
Right. Right, right. You know, I love I always say if you can be comfortable being uncomfortable, you're gonna be very good in life. You're gonna be very good at work. You're gonna be very good in everything. And that's kind of the mantra that I try to live by because, things in life are not always
Yeah,
comfortable and they're never gonna be. So if you can be comfortable being uncomfortable, turn the uncomfortable situation into the most comfort that you possibly
absolutely.
can, I think you'll excel.
Absolutely.
No question. I want to ask you some favorite
Okay.
questions. Okay. And you just give me the 411 off the rip based upon these favorite questions. Okay. So here we
Okay.
go. Favorite meal you like to cook?
Sinigang. It's a Filipino sour soup. It's one of my favorites. It can be spicy. You eat it over rice. My mom makes it the best
Ooh.
with pork. But I think I've
Oh,
like, I think I've come up with my own way of cooking that pork belly to make mine pretty good too. So, yeah.
okay. Now, if I ever pull up
I'll
in
have to make
Iowa,
you
I'm going to have to
some.
try that. I'm going to have to try.
Absolutely.
Please,
Yeah, because
please. No doubt. You know what I mean?
there's not really any Filipino restaurants here in Des Moines. Um, yeah, there's
Mm-hmm.
more like Vietnamese, Laotian, Thailand, just through like the history. But yeah, Filipino food is like very
Sure.
scarce to find here. So yeah, I've had to really like learn how to cook myself so I could stop feeling so homesick.
I know that's right. I understand. I'm a huge taco
Mm,
person. I'm not the greatest cook in the world. I'm not
okay.
gonna lie to you on that one. I like to grill more than cook, but definitely tacos. I could whip that up in the
Absolutely. That
kitchen pretty
sounds
good.
good. I love
For sure.
tacos.
Yeah, absolutely, no doubt. I love that. Favorite concert you've ever attended?
Oh, favorite concert I've ever attended.
Hmm.
That's a good question. Hmm. Oh my gosh, that's like so hard. I don't know. I think my favorite concert I've ever attended, okay. And this was only because I was very lucky enough to have gotten this, but way back
Okay.
um way back then at some point I was like I used to like write about music for like a Chicago blog, and
Okay.
I ended up scoring a press pass for Kendrick Lamar's "To Pimp a Butterfly" show. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
and it was at the Riviera in Chicago, and it's like, it's like one of my like favorite concert venues. But yeah, that was one of my favorite concerts. I think the other one is Lupe Fiasco did like a 10th anniversary of Food Store and Liquor, and that
Oh
one
yeah.
was just a beautiful concert just because he had like a live band, and it was just really great. So yeah, those are my top two, I think. Yep.
Okay. Okay. I like that. Two of my favorite songs from Lupe is definitely
Oh
"Battle
yeah.
Scars." Uh, no question about that. And then I think it's
Oh,
"Deliver."
okay.
Have you ever? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
What
yeah,
about you?
"Deliver."
What are your
Yeah, I
favorite
like
what's your
that.
favorite concert?
Oh, well, you definitely got the right genre. That's for sure. I would say, man, that's a tough one too. The Weeknd is definitely one of
Okay.
my favorites. The Weeknd,
Oh,
seeing
awesome.
him. Um, Old Kanye
Mm.
is pretty good too. I had a chance to see the Watch the Throne tour back when I was in Atlanta, Georgia.
Wow.
So him and Jay Z
I
was pretty
bet. Yeah,
nice.
I remember when that album came out. That was such a good one.
That
Mhm.
was fire. That was fire. No question about that. But you named some couple good ones too. Kendrick Lamar, I had a chance to see him live at the Super Bowl because I covered the Super Bowl this past
That's
year. So
awesome.
um yeah, it was amazing. Amazing to see him
Absolutely.
get a chance to go to the press conference when he was there. So I was very blessed to do that.
Oh,
That was
that's
awesome.
wonderful. What a trip of a lifetime.
Oh yeah, that was just one of my favorites. When I told my dad I was gonna go cover it, he was like, "What?" He's like, "I'm gonna look for you on TV."
Yeah.
I said, "I don't know if I'll be on TV, Dad. It's a lot of us, but yeah." Stayed there pretty much the
Oh,
whole week.
wonderful.
Did all different kind of things. Opening night was amazing. They had a media party as well. So yeah, it was
Can
slamming. It
I?
was, and it's in New
Yeah, absolutely.
Orleans.
Let me ask you a question. Like when you're,
Sure.
do your parents ever like send you blurry pictures of the back of your head because they saw you like on the TV screen or anything like that? Like when you're,
A
yeah.
couple times. A
Yeah.
couple times, yeah. There's been times where I remember I was covering a Minnesota Timberwolves game, and I was then sitting in the press area, and the camera panned over, and I got up and met a fellow
Yeah,
reporter, and the camera panned over, and they
of
took a
course.
picture, and they's like, "Oh my gosh, I saw you on TV." Like, are you sure that's my head? Are you sure? I'm like, okay, all right, cool. Cool. Or there was a time where I covered a Minnesota's Gopher
Hmm.
game where I was on the field walking around and I was on the field and um my mom I told her I was covering the college football game and my mom was like, "Is that my baby?" I was like, "Oh my gosh, here we go.
Yeah.
Here we go." Okay. So yes, absolutely. I'm sure your parents have done the
Yeah,
same
well,
thing
I'm
too.
a print journalist, so it's very rare that I make it
Yep.
on the TV, but I had a chance to
Hmm.
cover like the presidential caucuses when they came through
Okay.
Iowa, and so I there was one like there was one time during that like whole thing where I think I was behind like a CNN like reporter or just like a broadcast journalist who was like doing her spiel, and my mom saw it on TV and she saw like the back of my head, and I just got a text from her with like a zoomed in image of like the back of my head, and she's like, "I recognize that." I was just like, "That's you." And I was
Wow.
like, "Great."
Wow, that is amazing. That is
Yeah.
so amazing that they can
I
do that,
know.
right? And
And it's like
we
so blurry
we
too.
love
It's
that
like not
support.
even a great picture. I'm like, how do you even know? Right. Like I had the same reaction. I was like, is that really in the back of my head?
Right, right. Hundreds and thousands of people
Right.
there. You sure that's my head? Like, are you positive? Like, I don't know.
Yeah. But I really love
That's
that. Like
funny.
I find that like stuff like really fun sometimes. I think sometimes it also grounds me. Like how, like
Sure.
I think also just like knowing like where my parents and I were like when I first started in my career. It's not that they weren't like supportive. I think they were just like nervous, as parents
Sure.
can be. But
Yeah.
you know, it's been cool to have them like come around to it. I think there's still like I don't know if this is something you experience, but I think there's also like I don't think
Hmm.
people like sometimes can understand like what we do because they're not in
Right.
the space and it doesn't look like a very traditional job. Like,
Yeah.
and so like it's not a 9 to 5 where we can just leave. And I'm sure you feel this way, but sometimes the stories, like, depending on how tough they are or how long you've worked on them, they like stay with you.
Right.
Like, and
Yeah.
sometimes it's tough to like decompress. And it's also tough to like have somebody understand like how you need to decompress from that.
Absolutely. I mean, you hit it right on the head. I mean, there's been times where I've lost a few
Hmm.
friends because they'll ask me to go out to the bar and turn up, and like I said, I like to work hard and
Yeah.
play hard. I mean, that's what I like to do. But at the same time, I have a job
Yeah.
to do, and when you're doing elite sports, sports are nights and
Hmm.
weekends. So people that work business hour type jobs, 8 to 5, 9 to 6, no, they're not going to understand
Right.
my schedule. And it's very tough for them to understand unless they were
Hmm.
doing it. Sports sometimes are long hours. Sports are times where people are watching sports. I think people forget you're watching sports on TV, but do you understand that there's people there that's covering the
Mm,
game? So there's people there that has to work while you're watching these
right.
sports, these baseball games, these basketball games, these whatever
Hmm.
sports it is. So they got to work wee hours until the
Right.
morning, right? If the game is at 7:30 of Pacific time or 10:30 Eastern or however it is, they got to work wee hours into the
Hmm.
morning, and it's tough for people to understand that that's not in a journalistic type
Right.
space, and that's one of the reasons why again I built this platform because I want people to understand this is such a satisfying type of ordeal because we love storytelling, we love this job. I would not trade it. I feel like this is my
Yeah.
calling. But you also have to understand the sacrifice. Moving to an area, like you said, I think my mom was worried I was moving to
Yeah.
Minnesota. She's like, "You don't know nobody in
Yeah.
Minnesota." I was like, "Yeah." Well, you got to go here. This is where my job is going to continue, and I know I don't know
Yeah.
nobody, but that won't last. I mean, I'll meet some people. I'll go around. I'll do that, but I'm going to be doing something that I
Right.
love. And she was worried, but then she came
Hmm.
around. So same thing
Yeah.
with your parents. You hit it on the head for sure, no question about that. Um, I want to get into the
Okay.
next favorite, and that is favorite place you've ever traveled to.
Favorite place I've ever traveled to. Um. Hmm. That's a good
Mm.
question.
Well, yeah, got you thinking. I see the wheels are
Yeah, that's
turning up
like even
there.
harder than the concert question. Okay. Okay. I'll say that I think my favorite place that I've traveled to um is San
Mm.
Francisco. I mean, like I've been to like other
Wow.
places, but I think that one has like a special like place for me. Like I feel like anytime I've gone there, it's just like it just feels different for me. I don't know. But yeah, it's like one of my favorite places to go.
Got you. I got you on that. Obviously, I'm very familiar with San
Hmm.
Francisco because, as I said, I was born in
Yeah.
Chicago. But I was raised in
Okay.
California. My dad was in the
Oh,
Navy, so he moved us out to California, San Diego to be exact. So, but I'm very familiar with all the
okay.
cities in California.
For
Los
sure.
Angeles, San Jose, Salinas, San Francisco. I'll actually be going to San Francisco next February because that's where Super Bowl
Oh,
60 is.
awesome.
Um, so yes, cannot wait to go there. I think that will be absolutely amazing. So looking forward to that. My favorite place though is Vegas.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, for very obvious reasons. But Vegas is definitely one of my favorite places to
Gotcha.
go. The weather's beautiful. They're starting to get sports teams out there
Hmm.
now. They got great shows. And yeah, just I'm a
Yeah.
night owl, so I love the nightlife for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what's up. Okay, so now I'm a sports person, so I'm gonna ask you the sports question. It's a two-part
Oh
sports
goodness.
question. Favorite sport you like to watch on TV? Favorite sport you like to attend in person? They could be the same sport.
Oh, okay. Hmm. Favorite sport I like to watch on TV is is probably UFC. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Now, okay, I don't ask me about who the fighters are because it all looks the same to me. Um, and you can
Sure.
ask my boyfriend this, but I'll definitely fall asleep by the main card because that just takes a long time to get to. But I do, when I am awake for it, I do enjoy it. I think it's fun to watch. I think
Okay.
there's just
Okay.
like I yeah, I just think it's fun to watch people like compete in that way. It could never be me.
and beat the hell
Yeah,
out of each
pretty
other, pretty
much. Yeah.
much.
So, um, yeah, I think it's fun. I would say that I have gone to like a couple UFC fights and I think they're fun to be at. Like I've taken like my dad to some, I've gone with my boyfriend and some of my friends too. And so it's like fun to like
Awesome.
it's fun to be like around there. Just I think the fighters are like just interesting in general. I like looking at their tattoos and ranking how bad they look. So that's fun for me. But I also like for in person too, like I like going to soccer games. Like my boyfriend is a huge like Liverpool fan, and so when we've traveled,
Okay.
we usually go to like a soccer game. Again, don't ask me like which games we've been to, what stadiums we were at. I just know I have a jersey from it. I'm there. I'm drinking the beer. I'm, participating.
You
Yeah,
having a
I'm
good
having a
time.
good time. So, yes.
Okay. Well, listen, that's all that matters. A good girlfriend goes with her man to the games and events and stuff like that and has a good time. So I
Yeah.
love to hear that. Um, Basketball is probably my favorite to
Mm,
attend in person. I love the sneakers. I love the fact it's inside. I love the fact that the arena's not too
absolutely.
big. It's cool. Now football is my favorite sport to watch on
Mm,
TV. I like the way that they hit people. I love the fact that I could be at home. I can stop it. I can replay it, TiVo it, do whatever I want to do. Grab me a cold beverage, come back to the couch and watch it. Because in
yeah.
person the stadium is too damn
Mm,
big. That's just too big. And if you don't have the right
yes,
seats, those people look like mini me's down there. So, that's just me right
that's
there. So,
true. I also like going
for
to
sure.
baseball games too. Like, I think it's fun.
Yeah,
Like, well, I think the tailgating experience is fun.
absolutely. No
Yeah.
question about that. Now in Iowa, they do have a Field of Dreams game, baseball game that they normally do
Hmm.
out there. Now, have you
I
heard
have
about that?
not been to it yet. So, yeah, I have not like I haven't been to the Field of Dreams yet either. My parents have like when I moved here, like my parents quickly like hit all the sites. So, yeah, they've had the
Hmm.
chance to like,
Hmm.
tour around and do their little thing, but I've yet to make it that way in the state.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna tell you,
I'm
you'll
sure.
love it. There's no question about
Absolutely.
that. You will
For
absolutely
sure.
love it. For sure. Last of
Mhm.
the favorites, when I do come back there to Iowa, which obviously is about 3-4 hours away from me because I'm in Marshall, Minnesota. So Iowa is not that far from me. I'm real close to South Dakota. Um, what is your favorite restaurant to eat out at?
Mm. You said in Iowa? Like where I currently am?
Yes.
Okay. My favorite
Hmm.
restaurant to eat at. Uh, there's this really good burger place here called Lachelle's. It's like kind of like a cute little diner. Um, and yeah, they have like the best burgers, like honestly, that I've had here. They're really good, like smash burgers. Yeah, just like the classic with the fries or the tater tots are pretty good too. So yeah, but that's my favorite place. Yeah,
Mm, okay, I'm definitely going to check that
absolutely.
out. Now, are you fries on the burger or fries off the burger?
Oh, what is that? How
Yeah,
you?
yeah, yeah. I know I'm a little different. So when I get my fries and my
Yeah,
burger, I normally get bacon. I get cheese on
sure.
it, lettuce, and then I put my fries in the middle of the burger, and then I eat it.
Okay, I've never done that. I'm a fries off the burger, clearly, but now I have to. I think I'll have to try
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. I mean, I'm just saying I'm a little biased,
that.
but it's
Yeah,
pretty damn good. I'm
and
just
we're
gonna
just
say that.
talking about like
So that's
regular fries. Do you do this with like tater tots or other type of like potato wedges
no,
or
no, no,
anything
no,
like that? Okay, just
no,
regular.
no. I do it with curly
Okay,
fries, curly fries and regular fries, but tater tots, no. Sweet potato
okay.
fries, no. Potato
Okay.
wedges, no.
Okay.
So yeah.
That was not a crazy follow-up question to clarify which kind of fry you want.
No,
I'm
no,
glad we were on the
absolutely
same
not. I
page
love
as
that
that.
question. Absolutely. No, that was dope. I love that. Let's talk about your day to day process because I was in print prior to going
Mhm.
freelance. Because now I'm a freelance journalist. I was in print for 7 straight years. A combination of Atlanta, Georgia, and also here in Minnesota as well. And in print, no 2 days was ever the same. We first started off with 5 days printing off, and then, well, actually 6 days. Then we dropped to five. Then we dropped to four. But we would do it online, digitally online. We would do it almost every day. I learned how to take photos. I learned how to do page design, and I know you know what I'm talking about with page design, which I absolutely hated. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I hate doing that. But I learned all these
Mhm.
traits. Talk to me about your day to day there in Des Moines. How many stories do you normally write a day? When do you start? When do you finish? And stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, my beat is my beat is a little like different. I'm constantly like working on stories, but it depends really like how fast like my stories turn around. But I do have like, quick
Right.
turn and like long form. So,
Okay.
but I think like because my beat has like changed a little bit, just um it just like right now like I'm covering communities and faith communities too, so my beat has expanded a
Wow.
little bit. um and so yeah, I think the most difficult part of my work has been like sourcing. How I like to describe like my work is that, if like a lot of my colleagues who cover like politics, like at the Capitol, whatever policies or issues that come through there from a state or a federal look, what I end
Right.
up doing is I look at how that impacts everyday people. And so sometimes a lot of my stories sort of lean on how fast I can get those sources, which is such a difficult position to be in, especially right now. Um,
Right.
having having covering like the immigrant and refugee communities right now, especially with what the administration has been doing since January. It's put me in a
Right.
place where I've found myself having to report in real time. And it also has put me in a place where I feel like I'm struggling to find people to go on the record. Um, and fair, there's so many things that can be on stake. Um, I know like a lot of when I was working through like uh, through like immigrant and refugee communities, trying to figure out how they're going to be impacted by any travel bans or just like whatever the Trump administration is doing with deportations and things like that. Um, it's like there's organizations who are a little afraid to speak up because of what could happen if they speak up. There's everyday people who
Yep.
are afraid to speak up because they don't know what's happening. I also feel, because of the way that I look when I'm on assignment, I catch stuff too. And so that I think all of that has like kind of disrupted like my workflow and my process, um, in
Right.
a way that uh, I feel like I've been having to kind of take a step back and figure out how to navigate a lot of these different things.
I feel that. I do, and I appreciate your transparency on that. It's difficult. It's difficult sometimes to cover some of these topics because we do have an administration that says things freely and does things freely up there, and yeah, that does things quite different than what most administrations have done in the
Well,
past. No
I
question about
think,
that.
it's the way that the administration makes announcements, and then those things like consistently like change. And so
Right.
that I think that even just like from a reporter standpoint, like when we receive like, when we get like news, right? Like when we get information, like, we
Hmm.
that's how we report things out. But when the information that is being given to you is changing, that like, and sometimes it feels like minute by minute, you're not really sure, like you're trying to figure out like what's concrete and what the public should know. Um, there
Absolutely.
was like I wrote like a tariff story, um, like a few months ago based on, you know, uh, it was a tariff story, but it was looking at, small immigrant owned businesses here in the area. A lot of like these
Okay.
specialty shops, shops that I go to where I'm looking for specific Asian or Filipino ingredients, for meals. Um,
Right.
and there's so many like stores here that also have like different types of clothing, like ethnic clothing, things like that, cultural
Sure.
clothes. And so like those are real important businesses. I mean, those are important businesses. Like some of them are like hubs for immigrant communities and refugee communities. They're resources for these people. A lot of them is
Right.
a place of safety for them because it's one of the places that they see themselves, they see familiar faces at. And so when I was working on this story, I remembered like filing it, and I think we were anticipating like the tariffs when they were coming, and all of a sudden, like I remember filing it to my editor. It was good to go, and then when I came back from lunch, my editor and I both saw like a headline about how the administration was planning on pausing it, and so we had to like quickly
Right.
like change like a few lines in the story.
Had to
Yeah, and
pivot.
we had to like change it around a little bit to, in that sense. And it was, yeah, I think that that's one of the things where, it's really like startling, like you're really dealing with things now in real time.
Absolutely. Which brings up a great segue to this next question, and that is mental health and work life balance. And the reason why I want to
Mhm.
bring this up is because as reporters, we deal with mental health. There's a lot of colleagues that have stepped away from this industry because of their mental health was affected. There's been some colleagues that have stepped away because of the work life balance. News is every single day, 366 on a leap year, and it's nonstop. You miss holidays with your family. You miss graduations, celebrations, parties. You miss time with your friends because sometimes you're working a schedule that's not a normal schedule, like a 9 to 5 or you also seem very positive about journalism and working hard in this industry because this is what you love to do.
Work life balance and mental health. um, well, yeah, that's a tough one, honestly. I I appreciate that you say that, but you know, it's it's really difficult. I really I think
Sure.
I think these last couple of years is probably when I actually prioritized work-life balance and my mental health.
Okay.
Um, Part of my mental health is going to therapy regularly, and actually talking to somebody professionally. Um, and yeah, I think it's not sometimes even the scheduling that is difficult for me. It's the emotional weight of some of the stories that sometimes I work on. Um,
Right.
and I think it's also I think sometimes I also don't realize like how sometimes the work that I do can hit close to home when you're
Sure.
when you're so focused on the deadline, when you're so focused on getting, trying to find the right sources, trying to put this story together, trying to figure out what photos to go along with it, you're just working, right? Like
Right.
sometimes like sometimes like even stories like that, like it maybe I won't feel the impact of it really until like a week or two later when I'm feeling
Right.
like, oh, why do I feel so heavy right now? Like why do I feel like this? Um
Why am I feeling the way
yeah.
I'm feeling? Right.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and I think like, it's sometimes I can withdraw like as open like as it seems that I can be. I can withdraw. Sometimes I don't ask for help. Sometimes I mask, the hell out of myself just so that people can't see what I'm going through. I know that there's like
Sure.
assignments that I've been on where I've not had a great like mental health day, but you just get out of that car, you put on your press pass or press badge or whatever, you got your notebook in hand and
Yep.
you're there at your job. Um,
You ready to roll?
yeah, and sometimes you don't come back to those feelings ever because you've suppressed them.
Yep.
Um, and
Yep.
so I think a lot of with a lot of that, just like having gone through some of those things, um, yeah, like the last few years have really like made me take more of my mental health like seriously. I also realized that I don't have like the emotional stamina that I did a long time ago, like when I first started. um, I think
Sure.
like when you first start out like in journalism, you're obviously like very excited. Just like anybody who starts their career,
Yep.
they're super excited. And it's
Yep.
not to say that I'm not excited about like my career or anything like that or the things that I work on, but I think when you're young, you're, potentially going to a breaking news story for the first time, right? You're going to like a crime scene or something, or
Right.
you're
Right.
going to like a protest or something like that, or you're going to like some big event, anything, like whatever you're working on. I think
Sure.
sometimes like, you're again like you're working through the story. It's not that you don't understand the gravity of it, but I think when you get older, that gravity starts to weigh on you just a little bit different. Um,
It
and
does.
so much of the stories that we work on now, like Iowa's just gone through so many different laws and issues in the past few years, whether that's, women's reproductive rights, things like that, whether it's like the LGBTQ community, uh, all
Right.
these conversations that we're having, um, like you start to think about like yourself too, like, you start to think about motherhood. Like, I'm at the point where I'm in my 30s now. And so, I think about motherhood and I think about, can I also live here in Iowa? What kind of care will I receive if I decide to have a child, and
Right.
you think about like whether these things are possible for you. Yeah, and it's sometimes like sometimes that can be really difficult to like navigate through. I mean, you do your best to try to separate yourself from the work that you do, but I think we're all human, and I think at the end of the day, we're just like everybody else. Where our we some of us like take our work home with us, like, and I think it would be
For sure.
crazy. I think if you're somebody who, you know, I think like journalism, I mean, you've said it in our conversation, journalism is a calling. People don't just really wake up and choose to do this. Like it's a decision that you make. It's not like we do this for the money
Absolutely.
or anything. We're not in this really.
Definitely not.
So, a
Mm-mm.
lot of our passion, drives what we do. And yeah, and so it becomes, yeah, but it's difficult. You kind of weigh that passion. You kind of figure out
Sure.
whether that passion can sustain you. And yeah.
No, I really like that answer. And you gave great answers all conversation long. There's no question about that. But I really love that answer because nobody's quite broke it down like that before. Here on the Work Hard, Play Harder podcast, and you definitely broke it down. Like I'm also in my 30s as well, and I do think about being a dad. And I definitely would like to be a dad, but then again, I'm like, man, will I ever find somebody as a bachelor? Those thoughts do creep up into your mind because as a journalist, you're always on the
Yeah.
go. You're on the go. You're traveling around. You come home at all crazy type of times, and when you have children in your life, that's not something that you want to do. The priority is no longer the job; is the children. So you do have to think about things like that, and especially with sports, I may have to travel out of town. I may have to go 2.5 hours. I may have to fly
Yeah.
somewhere to go somewhere. So you definitely think about that for sure. I like that you brought that perspective up. I also like the fact of asking the question because um, it it's real. Like burnout is
Yes.
real. Being overworked and underpaid is real. Those are words that you do hear in our industry quite a bit because you see the publications getting smaller and smaller in
Yeah.
staff. You see stations getting smaller and smaller in staff. And you realize that, man, you really got to love what you do in order to be in journalism. There's no question about it because if you don't, then this is probably not the right industry for you. And that's not to discourage anyone from joining this journalism industry. But again, to go back to what I reiterated before, um, this is an industry that's very fulfilling, but you have to be all in. And you have to know the A side and the B side. And you got to prepare for both of
Yeah.
those because they both are true. And the B side is you are going to miss events. You are going to work on holidays. You are going to miss time with your family and friends. But if you can prepare yourself for that and you can, be able to accept that, you'll be great. But some people can't. And people sometimes get a misconception of journalism. When they see people in front of the TV or they see your name in a newspaper, it's like, oh man, you got it
Mm-hmm.
made. And it's like, they don't know what's behind the scenes, Amanda. They don't know what's going on to
Yeah.
what we have to do to prepare to be able to make that sacrifice, to be able to do what we love to do. And that's why I built this platform so people can understand. It ain't what you may think it is. Just because you see the final product at 5 or 6 or 11, or just because you see a newspaper in a store and you pick it up and see somebody's name, there's a lot that's went
Mm-hmm.
into that for that article to drop on that newspaper. So that's why I do what
Yeah.
I do.
I will say though, like I appreciate that there are more conversations now though about mental health and work-life balance in the
Absolutely.
newsroom. Like even just like when I started like even just 10 years ago, really, like that was not a conversation to be had. I mean, that was still a pay your
Sure.
dues type of situation. I think even like I in college was a very much like unpaid intern. So the way that
Sure.
like opportunities now with paid internships with things like that about like actually treating people like fairly, right? Like I think those
Hmm.
conversations have come up. Like I think here at the Register is probably the first time where I've actually had like editors who really care about you and your well-being, like not just like your work. I think other places that I've had or worked at or other experiences that I've had was not, it was not like that. And so for me even
Right.
so even for me that was an adjustment, like having to adjust to an editor actually like caring about me, because I would at first I was like, is this a trick? I'm like, you know what I mean? Like
Right. Right.
I'm sure like having
Hmm.
worked different jobs, like my first jobs like out of college were working in like super local news, and so I was very much used to like the process of which you did, like working with like how to design, like you knew how to take your own photos, like you knew how to like
Right.
you had your story, and you were doing multiple things. Like sometimes I was even the social media person for us, what I mean? Like you were, and
Yep.
those were things that were like I think in in small newsrooms, like those are things that are expected. You are expected to grind. You know, like you pay your dues in that way. And I think now just where
Sure.
that conversation is, like it's just different. Like I think there's just so much. I think like I want to say that like I feel like journalists are looking out for journalists now. Not that maybe we weren't
Yeah.
before, but I think now we've kind of like come to a realization where like yeah, no, we in order for us to like sustain even just ourselves, like we actually have to have like community. Like we actually have to like care about each other and care about like ourselves, because if like it's just like being on a team, right? Like I mean, we are on a team. We
Hmm.
like even though all of us are individually out there reporting, like we still come together as a team.
Sure.
And so if even if one member of your team is not doing okay, like it's important to like check in on that person. And so, yeah, I think like
No
being at the
question.
register was probably the very first time that I've even experienced that type of community, where I've experienced somebody like checking in on me and being like, "Hey, how are you doing? Like, how'd that story go? Like, are you okay?" Um, that was a that like even that like was has been so comforting, and it's given me like some hope that you know that it like our industry is changing too in a positive direction in that way, and that we're becoming more of a caring community.
Absolutely. I love that. Great segue again, because now I want to talk to you about
Okay.
advice. I'm sure there's probably some people that come in there that probably ask you about advice, maybe some interns at the register or not. But tell me, what kind of advice would you give someone that wants to be in the journalism industry?
Hmm. Bet on yourself. Yeah.
Mm, okay.
That's really what I wished somebody would have told me when I was 18 and making this big decision of majoring in journalism. Uh, because you like yeah, you just like there is no like linear path in this career anymore.
It's
It's
not.
not like how like I remember my professors way back when would tell us like, oh, you know, you like you should go move out to, you know, go to a small town newspaper, work your way up to the metro paper, and then you'll make it big, right?
I
That
remember that.
was the
Yep.
trajectory. But that was never something that was applicable to me. Like it didn't, you know, that wasn't how my path unfolded in journalism, and it's not really how other people's paths too. I've met people, you know, who accidentally got into journalism and have now been in it for a while.
Yep.
I've met people who
Yep.
have been in and out of journalism, you know,
Yep.
and yeah. And I think like if anything, yeah, you just have to like bet on yourself. Like there's so much of this career that doesn't get taught in school. It just gets taught when you're on the job or in your life.
Mm.
Um, and I think if you like feel that, if you like feel that passion, if you feel that this is what it is for you, then just like keep going into it. Just lean into it. Just like let yourself just be in the career, in the work. And yeah, just try it. Like why not?
I love that. I don't know where you been, Amanda, or what rock you been hiding under, girl, but your mindset, I just love your mindset because it's the same way that I think. There's no question about it. Yes, bet on yourself. I remember teachers telling me, you know what? You're not going to get to a top flight station, or you're not going to get to a top
Yeah.
flight this. You're going to have to start low. You're going to have to move out of state. You're going to have to do this and do
Yeah.
that. And I'm like, nowadays, things are different. There is no path that you can carve out to say this. You should do A, B, C, D in order to
Yeah.
get to E. Like everybody's journey is different now, and networking to me is what I tell people is
Mm.
key. You definitely want to network because you never know who you meet that can change your life.
Absolutely.
You'll never
Yeah,
know.
no, that's true.
And that's,
Absolutely. I also
yeah,
think that like I think writers are also just so like we're just insecure, you know what I mean? Like I mean, I think journalists are artists, in some way. Like we all
sure.
carry some sort of insecurity in us. We're all trying to like reach something. We all do our jobs because we're motivated by something. And there's so many people
Okay.
that you might meet on the way who are going to tell you, like, your idea sucks. That's not a good pitch. You need to do better.
Sure.
You're not a good writer. You're not a good interviewer. You're not this or you're not that. There's a lot of people that's going to tell you that you don't fit. You don't fit the job description. You don't look the job part. You're not you're not good enough for this. You're not the
Right.
one for it. And I think
Right.
when you go through that, like so many times, like you have like a choice, right? You either give in to the insecurity and you say, hey, yeah, maybe they're right about me, or you say no. And so I hope that just hearing like bet on yourself just gives people like the confidence to just try to like continue to move forward in whatever they're trying to accomplish.
I love that. Um, we have now reached the portion of my podcast, Amanda. Now we're going to talk about my interactive game called This or That. It's a game I like to play with all my guests here on the Work Hard, Play Harder podcast, and it's pretty
Hmm.
simple. I throw some things out at you. You choose this or that. So, Amanda, are you
Sure.
ready? Here we go. Out of these two restaurants, if you had to choose one, which one would you choose to eat at? KFC or Popeyes?
Popeyes.
Girl, you on point like a period. That's what I'm talking about. All right, we rocking off good right now. Here we go. Let's keep it up. When it comes to chicken wings, which flavor of these two would you rather have on a wing? Barbecue or lemon pepper?
Lemon pepper.
Okay. Do you like your wings wet or dry?
Uh, mm, I like wet.
Okay. Do you like your wings bone in or boneless?
Boneless.
Oh, I like that. So you like the meat. You like the meat on that. Okay, okay. I'm with you on that. I love me a boneless wing too. I ain't gonna lie. You
Yeah,
can't
you
go
get
wrong with either
more
one. But
bang for your
boneless,
buck.
absolutely. I'm with you on that. I love
And
that.
plus, you don't
Okay.
always have wet
These next,
naps available. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like I can.
I was about to
It's
say
not like
that.
I can
Oh
eat
my,
these boneless wing or these bone-in wings right before my assignment. Like I
that is very
can't be
true.
showing up like that. At least give me a fork.
That's true. That's true. That's what's up. I love that. These next five have to do with music concerts that you rather
Okay.
attend. So here we go. Which music concert would you rather go see? Beyonce or Rihanna?
Rihanna.
Okay, you go see Riri.
Yeah.
I like that.
Oh no! Don't let the
Right,
beehive,
all
the
right.
beehive come for me on that.
I'm saying, because girl, you said that with confidence,
I
though. I like
know.
that. Okay,
But
let's
it's
do it.
because
Let's
we've
do it.
been
Here we go.
waiting for her for so long to come out with music, right? So I'm gonna jump on
Mhm.
that. Like if she comes out with a concert, I
True.
gotta jump on that. We've been waiting years.
Well, yes, absolutely. Now, listen, I've seen Beyonce three
Okay.
times. Two of those times I was doing event security, so I've seen
Yeah.
Beyonce enough. I want to see Rihanna. That's for sure. So I would pick Rihanna as well. Which music concert would you rather go to? Kendrick Lamar or Drake?
Kendrick Lamar.
Okay, okay. I'm
I
with you on that. I like that. Go see K
Yeah,
Dot.
well, the one time I know Drake just kind of fell off now, but I did see Drake in college for this Take Care tour. That was when I could actually afford his
Okay.
tickets. So, but even then, like I remember like those tickets were like $70. And as a college student, it's not like I had $70 on hand. That was like I had to make that dining hall money first before,
I feel you on that.
so
I feel
But
you on that, yo.
if you got like
Straight up.
$70 tickets for Drake now in 2025, non-existent for sure. You can't get that cheap of a ticket for that.
No, not for Drizzy. Not at all. Okay, here we go. Which music concert would you rather go to? Lil Wayne or J. Cole?
Lil Wayne. I'm not really a J. Cole fan. Oh
Oh my Lord.
no.
Oh, Amanda, you're
I know
absolutely
this is the
wonderful,
one
beautiful,
this
intelligent,
is
all
the
the
one
above.
yeah, this is the
Huh.
one thing. Like every time I've said this, especially to like millennials, it feels like the fracture, it's like the unraveling. That's
That is definitely
yeah,
the
it's the
unraveling. That's definitely.
unraveling.
Uh, but listen, I'm gonna say this. That's hard to choose between them two, though. Lil Wayne and J. Cole. I mean, both of them are very nice, but at least for me, it is. But I mean, to say that you don't rock with J. Cole, man, that's
It's
crazy.
not
Okay,
like I
that's what's
don't
up.
rock.
Um,
It's like I'll listen to him, but it's not like it's not like my first choice. Like if
I
I
feel
heard
that.
his
That
song
that I
come
can feel.
on,
Okay.
I'd be like, all right, I might skip it. This is where
Oh Lord, we're
this
going
is
to the
where
next
it
question.
ends.
Wow. Okay, here we go. Which music concert would you rather go to? Brandy or Monica?
Oh, I'd say Brandy.
You
Yeah,
sure? Because you said ooh. The first one was
yeah.
ooh.
I would say Brandy though because I really
Oh,
loved like watching like Moesha and stuff, and she was in the Cinderella story. Like she was in that Cinderella movie, where
it
her
was.
Prince Charming, was Asian. So representation. That was like that was the one with Whitney
Wow.
Houston too. She was in that. So. Yeah.
Yes,
So
yes. I love the fact. I love the fact you bring up Prince
yeah, you
Charming and
have
Cinderella in
to.
a Brandy and Monica question. I love that.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. Okay, last one of the music. Usher or Chris Brown? Which music concert are you going to?
Usher. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. You said that kind of fast too.
Absolutely. Have you not seen the videos of Usher concerts on Twitter?
Uh, he's
He's
very good.
very
I've
good.
actually had a chance to see him live.
Yeah.
Very good. Yeah. I know what you're talking about. But we gonna punt. We gonna punt on that. So I know what you're talking about, though, Amanda. I get it. I get why you like it. That's for sure. Okay, I love that. I love that. Which sport would you rather play? Badminton or bowling?
Hmm. Maybe badminton.
Okay. Something tells me you don't like neither
No,
sport.
bowling, I'm only good for like the first five like tries and then it goes downhill from there. Like I'm not a
I'm about to say there's 10
yeah, I
frames.
mean,
You said
well, it's
five.
like
There's normally
no,
10
no, no,
frames
but
in the
it's
game.
like it's not like all five of like the first five, you know what I mean? Like it's just like five out of that 10,
Oh,
like I'm hitting the pins and then yeah, and my
okay.
score is absolutely like horrible, like the rest of it is like gutter balls, the rest of it is like, you know, just not great. I think with badminton, I
Uh,
think maybe I'm a little bit more coordinated in that. So I think
okay. I can respect that. You know your lane. You
yeah.
stay in it. I can respect that. Okay. Okay. Now, which sport would you rather watch on TV? Basketball or hockey?
Basketball.
Okay. I'm with you on that. Which or I should say this, do you like desserts?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna name 4 categories of desserts. You have to choose one of these that you would never eat again.
Okay.
Okay, so here we go. The first one is cookies. The next one is ice cream. The third one is grouped together, cake/pies. The last one is candy. Which one are you getting rid of?
I say candy.
I say, girl, you on point like a period again. That's what I would say.
If I
Absolutely.
really
Okay.
had
Now,
to
what's your
choose,
favorite
you
ice
know.
cream?
um,
I know.
my
I know.
favorite kind of ice cream. I like mint chocolate chip ice cream. Um, I also like uh there's like this Filipino like flavor ice cream that is corn and cheese flavored. I know it sounds weird, but it's actually really really good and I like it a lot. It's one of my favorites. Yeah.
Okay. That is definitely a first here on the Work Hard Play Hard podcast. I've yet to hear about a corn
Yeah.
flavored ice
Corn and
cream.
cheese.
I've
Corn
yet to
and
hear
cheese
that.
flavored ice cream. Yeah. It sounds a lot better than, or
Okay.
it tastes a lot better than it sounds, I promise.
I bet it does, because it damn sure don't sound good. That's for sure. For sure. Okay. Do you like potato chips?
Yes.
Okay, same format. You have to choose one of these brands out of the four that you'll never eat again. So here we go. First one is Ruffles. The second one is Lay's. The third one is Doritos. The last one is Pringles. Which one are you giving up?
Lay's.
Okay, I like that. Now, you don't have to pick between the other three, but what is your favorite potato chip?
Mm. I don't have to pick from the three. You said? Okay.
No, you can pick any chip. Any chip
Okay.
is your favorite.
I would say I'm a real huge sucker for like salt and vinegar chips, like the kettle chips that are salt and vinegar. But I don't know if that's like I don't know if that's like a Filipino thing because vinegar is so like ingrained in a lot of our culinary food, like on our cuisine and stuff. So, but yeah, that's like my favorite kind. I like the bite of it. It goes great with a sandwich. Yeah, that's where I'm at.
Wow. I mean, like I said, you've been wonderful all conversation long. Very sweet, very nice, but you just proven that you're not perfect. None of us is perfect in life.
Hey,
It's just
I never
that's the
said
way
I
it is.
was.
You did. So that, hey, listen, that goes to it. I'm gonna give you my opinion about salt and vinegar chips because you named two of those, salt and vinegar and
Yeah.
kettle. Kettle's the third worst chip ever made. Salt and vinegar is the second worst chip ever made.
No.
You're probably saying to yourself, what is the first chip?
Yeah.
Well, the first chip ever made, or the worst chip ever made, is Funyun.
Yeah.
Whoever made Funyuns, they need to be
For
slapped
sure.
hard because, but yeah, I don't like Funyuns. So at least we agree on that. You did very good on the this or that. Um, I love asking this next question, especially a journalist, and that is a bucket list. Give me a top 4 bucket list of events or stories that you would like to do in your journalism career that you haven't done yet.
My journalism career that I haven't done yet. Oof. And you said 4?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Can you give me 1 second? I have to get my phone charger. Is that okay?
You
Okay.
good. You
One
good.
second.
Say less. Oh, okay. Yes, indeed. All right, we are here.
Okay.
All right, all right. Rocking out. So, bucket list top four of events or stories that you would like to do in your journalism career that you haven't done yet.
Um, there is so one piece that comes to mind, I think, for me is that um, so maybe this is more of like a narrative piece or something like that, but uh, so I grew up knowing that my great grandfather went to the University of Kansas and he studied there. Um, and I didn't fact check that until actually I came to Iowa. Um, and I actually reached out to the university and asked them like if there were any records of my great grandfather there. And they
Right.
they did find him, and they sent me a yearbook photo of him. I think he was there like sometime in the 1930s, and his brother was also there too. And my family didn't know that my great grandfather's brother also studied at the University of Kansas too. And so I think like that's one of like the sort of like the personal stories that I've wanted to write. Sort of trying to figure out like why my family came to Kansas, like what were we doing in Kansas in 1930s? Um, so yeah, uh,
Wow.
and I think that's a personal story for me just because like I've also had people like a lot of my older relatives like pass on now. My both of my grandparents on both sides of all my families have passed away, and my
Yep. Same here.
yeah, and when you lose that, when you start losing that kind of connection, uh, it just feels like there's such a greater gap, you know. And both of my parents also lost like their eldest siblings this year too, or in the last couple of years. So that
Yeah.
really has made me like want to like do that story like more, and try to figure out some time and carve out some space for it. Um, I think some of the other stories that I would really like to do. I don't know if it's like a bucket list, but definitely something that's like super important for me. Like right now, I cover a lot of like homelessness issues here in Des Moines and in like Polk County, and so those are the things that have been kind of ongoing, like reporting for me. Um, and so just seeing like
Sure.
where, honestly, like seeing where like that goes and just following how following the city in their ordinances, or like following all these like plans of like for potential housing and seeing where that may honestly go. I think that stuff is like really really interesting to me. So yeah. uh hmm, yeah,
Okay. Any kind of sporting event that you want to
a
do?
sporting event. I don't know. I think that's like interesting because I don't know. I haven't written many like sports like stories. If I
Sure.
have their, like working in local news, it was like a featured obit or something like that. Um,
Sure.
you know,
What about the World Cup?
like the thing is like I don't know anything about that, so I wouldn't know like where to even like start. Like how do I find, you know what I mean? Like, but yeah, I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. I don't know if there's any like sporting events that I would be really, really interested in covering.
Okay.
I will
Okay.
say like honestly, watching like UFC and seeing like the way that politics like has been sort of, folding into that. Now I know like politics and sports,
Hmm.
like they fold into each other.
They kind of go together.
Absolutely. And so
Right.
I think like watching some of that stuff like unfold has been like very very interesting. I don't know where I would fit in a coverage like that, but I'm very,
Right.
it's very interesting, like seeing all of that stuff like happening now mixed into the administration, and you're just kind of not knowing like where Dana White is really headed, what is he doing? And yeah, it's a very interesting thing to like see, especially like at this time.
Okay. All right. I can respect that. I can respect that. There's some dope stories that you came up with. What is some advice that someone has gave you that you hold on dearly to?
Hmm. Um, I had a college professor uh who was like he was like my multimedia professor. Um, and I
Okay.
remember he would say to raise hell a lot. Like he would
All
just tell
right.
us to raise hell because that's really what journalism is. So I think about that every now and then, um, especially when I'm feeling really down about myself or not feeling so confident. I think about I think about when he said that, and yeah, and it's so simple, and I think like yeah, I think it gives you like the right oomph.
Sure. Absolutely. Raise hell. No question about
Yeah,
that. It feels good to do, feels good to say, all the above. I love that.
absolutely.
This has been a really, really dope conversation, Amanda. Just learn about your why of getting into journalism, learn about who you are, learn about what you do, learn about different things that's your favorite things, but learning also about how you deal with mental health and how you deal with work-life balance and understanding that it's an ongoing thing.
Yeah.
We're never going to have it 100%,
Hmm.
but we're dealing with what we get dealt with. The cards that we're dealt, we deal with that. But I love your transparency through that. I love your honesty. I love your advice. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you on here. I'm a new fan of yours, for sure, as we have been knowing of each other for quite some time. And I love the fact that you finally came on the Work Hard, Play Hard podcast. My last question
Yeah.
to you is there anything else you would like to add about yourself, the job, or anything at all before we conclude?
Hmm. I hope that anybody who's listening to this, you know, feels like they can relate to some of the things that we talked about. And I also hope
Sure.
that somebody who, like, if there's somebody who is just starting out their career in journalism, like, I hope that they do bet on themselves. I really do. Like, the world really needs like more journalists. Our work is so much more critical now than it has ever been, really. And I don't
Yeah.
know, like I know how difficult this job can be. I know how difficult this journey can be, but if you still feel like it's for you, then I hope like you continue to do it.
I love that. That's well said. I want you to enjoy your
Yeah,
Friday,
thanks for having
enjoy
me
your
on.
weekend. No doubt. You and I will definitely be in touch,
That
girl.
sounds
You
good.
take care,
All
okay?
right, sounds good. Bye.